Welcome to Fit and Pain-Free the Bonnie Prudden Way. I'm Enid Whitaker, and I'm joined by Sandy Dirks. Our program each month will center around fitness pioneer Bonnie Prudden and her accomplishments, her method of exercise, and pain erasure the Bonnie Prudden Way, or Bonnie Prudden Myotherapy, which is a way to get rid of muscle-related pain. Join us as we begin each meeting with a few tension relieving exercises.
Our focus this month is on back pain, and we're going to share some statistics about back pain, as well as how we got started working with people who have back pain and relieving their pain, and how you too can learn how to relieve your own back pain. So we'll throw it over to Enid.
Thanks, Sandy. Yes, in America, 8 out of 10 people have back pain at one time or another in their life. And it can be the aching, tired back, or the screaming spasm kind of back pain where you just can't move. And there are probably more headaches than back pain, but it's not really recorded because people show up for work with headaches, but they can't show up for work with back pain if it's really, really bad. So, it all stems from, for the most part, weak abdominals and tight hamstrings and stress, daily stress. You know, we haven't been giving you the exercise of the month for kicks. We've been giving it to you because exercise is the fastest way to get rid of stress. When you're under stress, your muscles tighten. And if they're already tightened, they tighten more. So that's the reason for the exercise that we give you. And myotherapy, as we said before, is a combination of getting rid of the spasm or the tightness in your muscles, and then re-educating the muscles with corrective exercise so that the muscles stay of a good length and flexible and pain-free. We first got started on this because most of the people that came to us at the clinic to begin with had back pain. And we started to see patterns in their back pain, depending on what they did with their life. But most people had what we call common points. Even though a lot of the points were individual, many were common. And for instance, we had one lady, Mara, who came to us. She was in her 70s, and she had back pain, and she got better. But then she went back to her hometown, and she was worried that she would get back pain, and she wasn't going to be near us. So Bonnie always had an answer for everything. Bonnie suggested that she bring in a second pair of underpants. So these were Mara's underpants.
They're colorful.
And what Bonnie did was, wherever she found a trigger point, she made a mark. And if there was referred pain, she made arrows. And then Mara took them home and embroidered them. So wherever she went, she took her underwear so that if she did get back pain, she would go to the doctor, the local doctor, put on her underpants and say, press here with your elbow. And it always worked for her. So she always felt safe. So that's kind of how we used to do scans, which we gave everybody a scan who came to the clinic, so that they would have a map of their trigger points when they went home, because people came from all over the United States. They weren't just local people from Stockbridge, Mass.
And actually, what I remember, Bonnie was great at telling stories. She made the audience laugh all the time. And so what I remember about Mara's underpants is that Mara went to London. She went to a doctor there. She put the underpants on. And she said, okay, now just you press here, press here, press here. And he did it. And so when he was done and she was free of back pain, he said, okay, now I want to put your underpants on and you press on me because I've got back pain too. She said
Right.
it much better than that, but
Yeah.
but that always made me laugh.
And we don't know if that was a real story or made up story.
I prefer to think it was real. Oh shoot. But it does show that, especially when we very first started, we were teaching everybody how to release trigger points. And you didn't have to go to a specialist. You could learn how to do this. And that's what we focus on teaching now.
We taught 6-year-olds to do it, first graders. So we figured if first graders could learn the basics, then anybody can. And,
Yes.
and that's how Bonnie's books were structured, so that anybody could use them. Although she didn't talk down to anybody, that's for sure, but she
No,
laid out common sense directions so that
Yeah.
everybody could follow and learn from.
Yes. And so we kind of weaved the Krauss-Weber test into something that was always used, but then we still use it today, especially for
Low back pain, or
that's
for
right.
our treatments, because as it was established way back in the 40s that those who came to the back clinic at Presbyterian Hospital and Columbia Presbyterian Hospital in New York with back pain could not do one bent knee sit up with their feet held down and their hands behind their neck, and they couldn't stand with their feet together, knees straight, and touch the floor. So that was an indication of weak abdominals and tight hamstrings that ended up as being back pain. And then in the series before this, we showed you the Krauss-Weber test and the correctives. So if you have low back pain, go back and listen to our other episodes, learn about the Krauss-Weber test and the correctives, because after you finish this episode, you'll want to know more about those too, so that even though you relieve your back pain now, you can make the corrections so that it won't come back.
Perfect. Yes. So we focus on, in general, when we're first teaching people, we find out from the Krauss-Weber test where the weakness and inflexibility is. And then we teach people where to look for the trigger points that are most common for low back pain. And the areas that we first look in are the gluteal muscles, the low back, the hamstrings, and then the abdominals, lower abdomen area is where we look. Remember that a trigger point is an irritable spot in the muscle that gets into the muscle whenever it's injured or damaged in any way. And the trigger points can be laid down in the muscles years ago, from when you fell on the ice and landed on your seat, could be from an accident, could be from horseback riding, could be a sport that you played. So the trigger points very first get laid down, and you can go for years without having pain. But one of the things that Enid talked about earlier was it seems to be stress that lights those trigger points up. The function of a trigger point when it's lit up is to cause the muscle to shorten and spasm. And that's what causes the pain. What else would you like to say about that, Enid?
Again, as we mentioned before, what makes Bonnie Prudden myotherapy different, one of the things, is that we always treat adjacent and opposing muscle groups, because all the muscle groups pull on one another. And in the quick fix that we'll be showing you today, the quick fix are the most common points that will get the job done effectively and efficiently.
Yes, and the quick fix, there are several places where you can find the quick fix points. that we will be talking about. The second book that Bonnie wrote about myotherapy, which is called Myotherapy, Bonnie Prudden's Complete Guide to Pain-Free Living, has the quick fix in it. The pain erasure is what we call, which was the first book she wrote, is what we call the basic lines. And what happened was when Bonnie and Enid were on the road promoting the pain erasure book, they would see people in pain, and Bonnie could not put blinders on. If she saw somebody that hurt, whether it was on an airplane or in an office building, she was going to figure out somehow how to stick her elbow in them to relieve their pain. And that's, from what I understand, Enid, because I wasn't along for the ride, you were, that's where the quick fix was born, was when you two were on the road.
Right. They would send us on the road and we go to the radio station, the TV station, the newspaper. And at the end of the day, they send us to the bookstore where everybody had been congregating because they heard us on all those other places. And there might be 40 to 100 people there, and all expecting to be fixed before they buy a book. We didn't have a table. We might have had a card table or a chair, but we didn't have the proper things that we would need in a regular clinic. So we had to do the best that we could. And yes, push here, 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 and here, said Bonnie. So I did what she said and it worked.
Yes. And so the quick fix is something that can be done pretty much anywhere, anytime. Doesn't take a lot of time to do. And it focuses on the most common trigger points for certain pains. So we have quick fix for knee pain, which involves 2 areas. We have quick fix for low back pain, which has 3 or 4 areas. And then we go from there if somebody needs further treatment.
And Sandy, bless her, has filmed the quick fix and the basic lines, and they're available through what's called My Learning Library. And it's set up so that if you're a body worker, you can get credits, CE credits, but it's not just for body workers, it's for anyone. And you'll be showing some of that too, right, Sandy?
Yes, I will. I'll put a little clip of that on. It was made so that you work on somebody else. But you can still, again, using a shepherd's crook or a bodo, you can also learn how to do the same areas on yourself. And again, there's various resources to learn about where the most common trigger points are for the pain that you might be feeling. So myotherapy has a quick fix in it, as well as basic lines. Pain erasure has basic lines in it. The After 50 Fitness Guide has the trigger points in it. But then we also have, Enid has various videos and DVDs available on the website as well. There's a whole series. Bonnie did a series of myotherapy for how to get started, how to fix back pain, how to fix headaches. We have our online class that you can also, as Enid said, through My Learning Library, but it is on our website. And there was something else. Oh, we also do live classes. So there's a variety of things that you can do to learn how to help yourself.
And if you want to be notified, I think it's 3 or 4 times a year, there is a sale, a flash sale for Sandy's films or on My Learning Library. So if you go to our homepage, you can sign up, and it's really a special link. So you won't get anything other than notification of when Sandy's film of quick fix and basic lines is going to be shown, and very little money, really. And if you know ahead of time, if you read what's there and you get a friend and get a table and get all the equipment ready, then you'll be all ready. And your own speed. You don't have to do it right along with Sandy, right?
That's right. Yes, you can do it at your own speed. Absolutely.
And if you're on a budget, this is a potato masher. You put the flat end against the wall And then you put the other end, the handle, in your seat pocket and push. So you're pushing up against the wall and you can get your trigger points that way. And
Yes.
then to get them on your hip area, you just turn your body and put it up against the wall and push in your hip area. So there's no excuse.
Not to learn how to work on yourself. There are tools available. So remember, when we're practicing myotherapy and we're looking for trigger points, we're looking for something that hurts when you press into the muscle. And what we want to think about when we're doing that is that we're not jabbing in. We're going in nice and easily and slowly until you find something that hurts. And in general, what I tell people is on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1, it doesn't hurt at all, and 10, it's excruciating pain. I usually am looking for a 5, 6, 7, somewhere around there. Something, again, that hurts, that tells me I'm in the right place, but not so much that I'm going to tense up other places. Then we hold it for about 5 to 7 seconds, and then we move on and look for the next trigger point. After we have worked a muscle group, we then do a stretching exercise to help stretch that muscle out again once we have detriggered it. And then most of the time, and again, these are in all the books and on all the videos, we'll give you what we call corrective exercises. So that, Enid, why do we do corrective exercises?
We do them so that the pain doesn't come back. Muscles have a habit, just like children, and you have to keep reminding them. So once on Monday morning is not enough. And the corrective exercises, you only have to do 4 to 8 repetitions, and they're usually only 1, 2, or 3 of them. And so it doesn't take a lot of time, but you need to keep reminding them, because they'll just go back to their old habits, just like you and your kids do. And as far as how much pain you cause with your elbow or knuckle or fingers, most people say it hurts good.
Yes.
And there was an old lady that said it hurts good, like on her wedding night.
Yes, that's correct.
In front of a whole audience.
Oh, yes, Bonnie was very good at that. Okay. So before I show how I would hold a crook and where some of the points are, and we'll also put a graphic up while I'm doing that so that you can see that a little bit better. Is there anything else, Enid, that we'd like to say about low back pain?
Most low back pain is fairly easy to erase. And it responds very well to myotherapy, Bonnie Prudden myotherapy, especially if you'll do your exercises. If Bonnie Prudden myotherapy does not work, it usually means that there's pathology and that you need to go see your doctor. I had 2 patients this week that I know have pathology because I was not able to help them, even though they'd already been to, one of them a physical therapist and the other one a doctor. Apparently they didn't see the problem or recognize it or diagnose it correctly. But again, if myotherapy doesn't work, then go see your doctor if you haven't already. Most of the people that come to me have already been through X number of doctors and X number of physical therapists. So they usually come knowing a lot about their pain and have had a number of different treatments that really didn't work. And so most of the time I can tell pretty well that I'm able to fix them because there's no pathology.
Yes. And again, remember that we're working with muscle related pain. If there's pathology, it may help, but it's not going to relieve the pain for a long period of time. And so it is something that when we're working with people, if this doesn't help, we send them to their doctor because there's something else going on.
Muscles are the biggest system that we have. And so it only makes sense that most pain is muscle related.
The areas that Bonnie always would work on and look for first for low back pain was in your back pocket. So if I had a pair of jeans on, I would be looking for 3 points in a triangle, and you can see that on the graphic, 3 points in a triangle right in my back pocket, my back hip pocket. And so to work on myself, I'm going to take my shepherd's crook. And again, this is a tool that Bonnie developed, and it is available on the website. You probably have seen other versions of this. I like this for several reasons. One is it's got a nice small rubber tip. And so the rubber tip itself will not slide on my clothing. So when I use the crook, I take it sideways and I'm going to wrap it around my body. And I'm placing it in my back pocket. And so what I'm going to do is, with the hand on the curved part, I'm going to press in, and then with the hand on the straighter part, I'm going to push away from myself until I find something that hurts. If you're having a problem finding something that hurts, you can take a chair and put your leg up in a chair, which will put the muscle on a stretch. And then again, I push in and away, or I push my seat into the tip of the crook. And once I found the point, I hold it 5 to 7 seconds. So I'm doing one, I'm not going to take you through all of them. 1, 2, 3 points in my back pocket. So I've worked 3 points in the back pocket. From there, I'm going up to the waistline. In the books and on your graphic, it's point number 11. And point number 11 is, here's my waistline. I'm going to come up from my waistline about 1 to 2 finger widths and out again about 1 to 2 finger widths from my waist. I'm going to put I'll put the tip of the crook on my spine with no pressure. Again, I wrapped it around my body. I'm going to slide the tip until I'm on the edge of a muscle. Again, about 1 to 2 finger widths out from the spine. And I'm going to either push in with the hand on the curved part and away from me with the other hand. Or at this point, I'm just going to round my back, do a pelvic tilt into the crook. So I'm finding that point. You can't see my face, but I'm making a face. On me, that's a sensitive point. So we do points 1, 2, 3, 11. And then the last point is halfway between the tip of my shoulder and my armpit. And it's on the outside edge of my shoulder blade or my scapula. So again, I'm going to take that crook. I'm going to place it sideways across my body with the tip in that space halfway between the top of the shoulder and the armpit. And again, I'm going to push in with the hand on the curved part and away from me with the other hand. So we've worked 5 points. Once I've done that, if I can reach it, I'll go ahead and rub it to make it feel better. And then the corrective exercise for that is called the side lying stretch. And we'll show you that in a minute. Once I've done one whole side, even though only one side of my body may hurt, once I've done one whole side, then I'm going to go ahead and do the same exact thing on the other side.
Okay.
All right.
So you begin by bringing your knee up to your chest as far as it would go and helping it with your hand, and then stretching it out and putting it down in front of the other leg. And if you were doing this and you were kind of achy or tired back, you just lie on your bed and do 4 repetitions. You don't have to do a million of them. Mm-hmm. You just have to do 4, but you do them often throughout the day. And if you have music on, then you can do them to a rhythm. So that's the beginning of getting rid of back pain. And if you are just starting to get a little back pain or have a tired back, then start with what we call the limbering series. Because if you do the limbering series, often throughout the day, maybe morning, noon, in between, and then night. That will help those muscles, and you probably can get rid of it before it becomes something that becomes a problem. And we'll be showing that to you through clips.
Yes, we will go ahead later on in this program. We will show you a couple of video clips of the back limb brain series. Enid, what's our exercise this month?
Arm rotations to the front. And often we end the day with shoulder tension. And this exercise really helps to release that tension and tiredness. And when you see me do it to the music, make sure that you reach forward as if you were trying to open the door the wrong way. So hold on to the doorknob and twist it the wrong way, and then open wide and twist and open.
Okay, the backs. First thing, in the morning, you're in bed. Bend your knees, bring this leg in, stretch it out. Notice you put your head back down and rest. Same on the other side, as close as you can come, extend and down. You do several of those. Now roll over and really relax. Bring the top leg up and now extend it. See, it's just a little bit above the other leg. And then down. Try to let go, because there is no backache without stress. Usually a backache only shows up after some problem has shown up first. All right, you do that on both sides. Ready? Up and out and down. Up, out, down. Up, out, down. Up, out, roll over. Ready with this top leg. Up, out, and let go. And let go. Way up and down. Way out and down. Up, roll over. Down. And down. Roll over. Now tighten your seat. Tighten. Pull in your abdominals and hang on. Hold on and let go. Tighten the seat. Pull in the abdominals. Should have some space here. And let go. One more. And hold it. Now back to the beginning position. Arch your back. You should have some space under you. Now force your spine flat on the floor and tighten everything inside all the way up. Flat. And let go. Arch your back. Flatten that spine down on the floor as tight as you can manage it. Hold it. Pull everything inside. Hold. And let go. Now if you do this, try to remember one thing. Anybody of your friends who has a backache, if they're under a doctor's care, tell them first to ask the doctor. Now they can find those exercises in every book I write. The Quick RX, How to Keep Slender and Fit After 30, the teenagers, everybody, every book, because everybody seems to have a backache. And most of those backaches, as I told you, are nothing but muscle deficiency. So if they are under the doctor's care and in the acute stage, that means the stage where you are in spasm and in great pain, you have to wait. And when it's out of that stage, then you ask the doctor, may I do these? And don't say, may I exercise? Because doctors don't know which exercise is which. And you have to really explain it to them. This should be done 5 or 6 times, just what we saw here. Do it before you get up. Do it in the middle of the morning. Do it at noon, later in the day. Believe me, now I've had a back problem. I know what it means. It's completely miserable. When I get the first sign of a pain here, I'm on the floor, I do the exercises, and for somebody who spent 8 months on their hands and knees and 2 years in a steel brace, I don't have a backache and haven't had one for 10 years. So get after yours.
Okay, Enid Winokur from Bonnie Prudden Myotherapy is here to help us again with some back pain prevention exercises. And if you look at the history of back pain, we know a lot of people have back pain because of tension. So Enid, these are exercises that can help relieve tension, correct?
Right. It stretches the gluteal muscles and tightens the abdominals.
Okay.
And stretches the low back.
And it's a series, how many of them?
It's called the back limbering series, and there are 5 different positions.
Great.
Okay.
All right.
So you begin by bringing your knee up to your chest as far as it would go and helping it with your hand, and then stretching it out and putting it down in front of the other leg. And if you were doing this and you were kind of achy or tired back, you just lie on your bed and do 4 repetitions. You don't have to do a million of them. Mm-hmm. You just have to do 4, but you do them often throughout the day. And if you have music on, then you can do them to a rhythm. And after you've done 4 of those, then you lie prone with your heels out, which relaxes everything. Then you tighten your seat, tighten your abdominals, and then relax. Tighten your seat, abdominals, and relax. And again, just 4 repetitions. Seat, abdominals, and relax. And 1 more. Seat, abdominals, and relax. And then you would turn on the other side and do the side lying exercise before turning onto your back. On your back, with your knees bent, you just press your back to the floor, pull your abdominals in, and then arch, and then relax. Press back, tighten your abdominals, and arch, and relax. Press back, tighten your abdominals, and arch, and relax. And 1 more. Press back, tighten your abdominals, and arch, and relax. The next one requires that you be a little more coordinated. You're going to bring your knee to your nose, which means you have to lift your head up. Then straighten your leg out, put your head down, and then back to the original position. And then you would do alternating side 4 each time. And then usually your achy or tired back would feel much better.
Great. So what is the exact history of this now? Did these come out of the Krauss-Weber series originally, or was this an adaptation that Bonnie took from Krauss-Weber testing?
Krauss had something like 26 or 28 different exercises that he did with the Wise Way to a Healthy Back. And Bonnie whittled them down to make it more doable.
Right, so this is the essence of what people need to do for the most amount of good in the least amount of time.
Right.
Which is kind of how she operated anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so you can do them in your bed when you wake up in the morning. Then when you come home, when you're having lunch, after lunch, and before bed. So you're doing them 4 or 5 times a day, but you're only doing 4 repetitions at a time. So it might take you 3 or 4 minutes to do those few exercises I just did.
And so we're back to that. She's always, in her work, tried to get in the way of that tension developing and setting into the muscles, creating those trigger points chronically.
Yep.
Okay. And these were part of the YMCA Healthy Back program at one time?
Yes, they were.
And so that was a program that went for almost a decade and served almost 300,000 people.
All over the world.
Right. So.
And the reason it didn't keep going was because it took so long to do it, because there were so many exercises. And
right.
There was a progression.
Right.
And so it kind of faded away, which is always what Bonnie went back to, that not only did you have to do it often, but it had to be doable.
Right.
It had to be not a lot of work. It had to be, you could do it anywhere you needed to do it.
So that's the essence of a nice little back pain prevention, tension releasing series. Goes back decades and it still works today.
Sure does.
Thank you.
Yep.